I genuinely think my 35 female husband, 36 male, is a psychopath. Hi everyone, please I need help. I'm 35 female and my husband is 36 male. We've been married for 10 years and have two boys 7 and 5. I honestly don't know what to think anymore. About 3 months ago my husband started sending me really nasty messages while he was at work. At first, it was just mean comments. Stuff like telling me I'm lazy, that I'm a terrible mother, that he regrets marrying me. It was completely out of nowhere. The weird part is that when he would come home from work, he'd act completely normal, like nothing happened. He'd kiss me, ask what's for dinner, play with the kids. The first time it happened, I thought maybe he was having a bad day at work, but the messages kept coming. Sometimes he'd send them during the day, sometimes late at night if he was working overtime. They got worse too, saying things like I'm useless, that I'm lucky he hasn't left me yet, that no one else would want me. The first few times I confronted him, he acted confused, like genuinely confused. He would say things like, "What messages?" Or, "You must be misunderstanding something." I literally showed him the texts on my phone and he just stared at them and said he didn't send them, claiming he lost his phone. Which he did, but he had a new one and was still texting and calling from that number. I know it sounds ridiculous, but he didn't look guilty. He looked confused, almost scared. I thought maybe he was gaslighting me, but it was such a weird way to do it because he never got angry in person. Finally, about a month ago, I snapped. I showed him a bunch of the messages at once and told him I couldn't keep living like this. I told him if he hated me so much, he should just say it to my face. He kept insisting he didn't send them and said maybe someone was messing with us. At that point, I was done. I packed clothes, grabbed the kids, and went to stay with my parents who live in the same state. They were amazing and helped so much, and I never felt luckier to have a close family. Since then, the messages have continued, same number, same horrible tone. Things like, running to mommy's house just proves my point. Or you're pathetic, or you'll come crawling back eventually. I sent him screenshots back to the same number, and still he swore again that he wasn't sending them. He just was saying he said he lost his phone at work and had to get a replacement, but he still had the same number. And when he would show me his phone, I couldn't see the messages. I just thought he was deleting them though. He said someone must have found the phone and was messing with me. Last week, though, I let the kids stay with him for a couple of weeks since he's still their dad and they miss him. He's still denying everything, says he never sent those messages and that he thinks someone is using his old phone. Meanwhile, the texts haven't stopped. At this point, I don't even know what to believe anymore. Either he's lying to my face or something really weird is going on. Has anyone ever dealt with something similar? I feel like I'm going insane and don't know what to believe. We genially had the most perfect relationship before all this, and I don't know what to do. I'm scared I'm breaking my family apart for no good reason. But some of the texts have been so horrible, I can't even include them on here. Update: I did a lot more research, and some comments helped me investigate. I think I know how the messages are happening from multiple devices. Because we message using WhatsApp. After doing some research, it does allow for multiple devices to be connected to same account. So it is possible someone else could be doing it from his lost phone. But overnight, the messages didn't slow down, they actually got worse. They weren't just insults anymore. Some of them started to feel like threats. I was terrified. Things about how I'd regret leaving, and some a lot worse. I barely slept last night because of it. At one point late last night, I finally texted back and said that if the messages didn't stop, I was going to the police. I know a lot of people said not to do this, but I couldn't take it anymore, and I knew that whether it was my husband or not, the person doing this would at least see it. I know I made a lot of people angry, that I couldn't just make up my mind on what to do. But here's your reminder: this is my husband, the man I loved unconditionally for over 10 years. Dumping him and blocking him out of nowhere isn't an option. We built a family and a life together. My life isn't a movie I can just cut the last 10 years out, like many of you insinuated, as well as calling me a liar, attention seeker, and pointing out every mistake I made. I know I posted online for help, and I need to accept some hate, but I fear sometimes people on Reddit can just go too far, and I really saw it over the last day. Please think of the harm you cause when you leave a comment. This isn't just social media, it is my current real life, and I know many of you that wrote these probably wouldn't say it to my face. Now the messages didn't stop. If anything, they got more aggressive. At that point, I was convinced it had to be him, and I decided to be true to my word and actually went into the police station. I saw some comments about being able to track a device to a small location, and you can ask for that. If you have the information about the phone, which I got from my husband, and are on the phone plan, which I am. The worst thing about this is me contacting him about the kids and information also went to whoever was sending the horrible messages. I was terrified about putting them in danger and maybe making who was doing this more angry, so I knew it was urgent to get help. At the station, they were able to track the missing phone. I claimed it was just lost because at the time didn't know if I was going to file charges. Because it was my husband's phone, they actually gave me the location, and the officer who helped was very nice. The address was very familiar and quite close to our house, so I decided to drive past to see where I knew it from. Turns out I had been to one of my husband's workplace parties there, and the coworker that lives there, I'm actually quite close to. I was angry and honestly just exhausted from it all. The kids were with him, so I went over early to pick them up before he expected me. My mom came with me because I didn't want to go alone. She took the boys so I could talk to him privately. I told him I knew one of his coworkers had his old phone, and how I was disgusted that she was ever someone I considered a friend. By this point, I was absolutely breaking down. When I told him this, he looked shocked. So I asked, why was his phone at her house? And how did she know your password? He just said maybe she took it from work and I don't know how she knew. But after reading some comments, I was done with these playing it down excuses. That answer didn't sit right with me at all. Something about the whole situation felt off. The messages had been too personal. Whoever was sending them knew things that only someone very close to us would have known. So I pushed harder. It turns out the coworker 30F wasn't just a coworker. She had been having an affair with my husband for over a year. He tried to claim it wasn't serious, but I was sick of him making me feel like I'm overreacting. I know people said this was a possibility, but I just could never bring myself to believe it. Have never felt so betrayed, everything made sense. She knew details about our relationship, our house, our routines, the kids, things that would be impossible for a stranger to know, all because my husband was telling her everything. I don't know exactly how she ended up with his old phone. He claims he lost it at work and thinks she took it. I honestly don't know what to believe anymore. All I know is that the messages kept coming from that device, and they just kept getting worse. Who knows how far she would have gone. Apparently, when my husband lost his phone, whoever had it kept using it. Meanwhile, he had gotten a replacement phone. But the old phone was still logged into WhatsApp. So technically, both phones were tied to the same account, and I didn't even realize WhatsApp wasn't the same as messages and things like this can happen. Which meant the messages could be sent from the old device and still appear as if they were coming from him, while they wouldn't appear on his phone. Part of me thinks there's no way he didn't realize. The messages were constant. It's hard for me to believe he was completely unaware of what she was doing. Maybe I'm wrong, but my trust in him is completely gone. At this point, I've officially decided to start the process of filing for divorce. This isn't the man I thought I married, and after everything that's happened, I don't even feel safe around him anymore. For now, I'm staying with my parents with the kids. I don't trust him around them right now, and he has seemed accepting over this because of the affair and he still has to work. The fact that someone who smiled in my face, sat in our home, and acted like my friend was secretly involved with my husband for over a year, and then spent time tormenting me pretending to be him, is honestly one of the most disturbing things I've ever experienced, and I still can't even wrap my head around it. I still have this horrible feeling that there's more to the story than either of them are admitting. All I know is I have lost all trust for him, and no amount of counseling could change that. We are done. Thank you all so much for the help. I'm genuinely scared what I would have done if I didn't reach out because I never expected this from him. I don't know if there will be another update. I have a lot of recovering to do. I feel like I just lost over 10 years of my life to a lie of a man and need to get used to the idea of starting fresh. I'm so grateful to have my family, and knowing they will be here to support me and the boys through this is the only thing that brings me comfort. There is obviously still a lot more I have to sort out, but I'm safe now. I just want to put the safety of me and the boys first. This will be my final update. Thank you all so much.